Hey.
Hey, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Our camera's doing weird things, but that's okay. Well, we're in a smaller box.
Oh, that's normal.
We're big.
That's normal. I'm going to fix it down the road. We've been like that for the last month.
Shows you how much I pay attention.
Yeah,
because I didn't notice the
at
size.
all. Technical prowess.
No. Sierra.
Yeah.
Happy Monday. I hope
Mhm.
everybody had a great weekend.
We did.
We did. We got to spend a good portion of last week and this weekend with Chris's best friend, and I think the guest that holds the most return appearances on our show.
If we're Saturday Night Live, he'd get a gold jacket. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's the most returning guest. Todd Michael Harris, filmmaker extraordinaire. He's up in the north right now, so he's abandoned all hope in humanity, and he's just... No, he's
with the Thunder Bay folks tonight. They're previewing his movie, The People versus David and Colette Stephan in Thunder Bay. So if you're in Thunder Bay, you might have missed it because it's 9:00.
Yeah, they've already played it. Yeah,
yeah, because I think they were starting it. I
got a text from him. Yeah, they've already done it.
They have.
Yes,
okay.
So they have.
So we spent a good portion entertaining David and Todd at the house and traveling with them. We saw the movie, 4 times? Newmarket.
Yes, we saw the movie a lot.
And Ottawa, so 4 times.
And it's it hits you really hard every single time. And the last showing that, like, in our little run with them, where we were going with them, our last little run was at the Ottawa Bikers Church, which is just icing on the cake right there. We got to see our good friends Rob and Melissa and hang out at the church for a little bit.
Yeah, we love Rob and Melissa, and they've been a guest on our show. And they did agree to be guests on upcoming shows. So watch for Rob and Melissa, Pastor Rob and Melissa, to be on our show in the near future.
Right. Yeah. If you're new to TFM Report, you'll find that we do things very differently. And a lot of people figure that we've been around for 2 years, and some people are just hearing from us. And that is because we don't do clickbait. And why don't we don't do clickbait?
Well, don't say we don't do clickbait.
We don't do clickbait.
Sometimes
and here's
we do drama and clickbait, but most of the time
very
we try
rarely.
to stay clear of it.
Very rarely. And here is why: because we're not getting suckered into that fight. We're looking at the higher things, and the more we want to try and focus on the problems and not the symptoms. And so this is the thing. We don't do the things that most people are focusing on. We kind of look in the other direction, and that's what we do. That is part of what we do.
And we're not going to apologize for doing that anymore, because
I don't think we are.
We know that what is it? God's children perished for the lack of knowledge. So we are all about knowledge here. Right.
The truth shall set you free. Be as wise as serpents, gentle as doves. Know your enemy. Trust your God. That sort of thing. So what I'm saying is, part of what we do here is we don't want to focus on what the enemy's doing. We want to focus on what God's doing, because that's kind of the solution here. So, So that's sort of what we'll be doing tonight. We're going to be talking about some hot topic stuff.
Yes.
We're going to be talking. What we also do is read the news and sort of give our take on the news. But I think we're going to just pick 4 or 5 subjects tonight, and we're really going to debate them out tonight. And I don't know if you're going to get like spicy fights, but because we're really on the same page on a lot of this stuff, so we can mock fight if that'll feel better. But
sometimes we're on the same page, but it doesn't sound like we're on the same page.
Yeah, but we disagree in different things. So we're going to try a different approach tonight and see how that works out. But we're kind of excited to try this out. We did it once with the alien show, and I forget what we called that show, but it said something to do with aliens, and where Jody brought us an alien video, and she said, this is super real, and I said, well, it's super not real, and that was the crux of the debate.
Aliens are real.
That wasn't even on the table, whether or not aliens are real. I'm not even saying I don't agree that aliens are real. What I'm saying is that video was not real. It was, if you have an extra dimensional, super intelligent, massively advanced civilization, you'd think they had better acting skills, is all I'm saying.
Aliens don't act, they just do. Anyway.
That's the worst defense in history.
See, Doug Michaels. In my opinion, aliens are a mathematical probability. Thank you.
Doug. That's funny because I heard a physics professor saying they're mathematical improbability only because he believes that the lifespan of a civilization is only this much in an infinite timeline. So the fact that they would be existing at the same timeline at the same time is improbable. So
that's like saying trees and flowers and bees can't exist at the same time.
It's absolutely not even close to that. No,
100%. They're all life forms. They're just different life forms than what we're used to. That's all. They look different. So
either way, I'm not saying they exist. They don't exist. Neither way. I'm just saying that video that you brought forward, 100% fake, false, not real.
That's your opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
Well, we're setting the stage at least. Hey?
Yeah. Aliens, they're a controversial subject, even in our house. So we will move on to something that's not controversial.
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. You did make me, in one of those hotels, Ignace, I think it was, you made me watch all these crazy, the Loch Ness Monster videos and Bigfoot videos, one after another, as we were sitting in this nowhere land, watching no man's TV in, a place where Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster very well could have been real. Sorry for those of you who live in Ignace.
I loved Ignace. What are you talking about? I really enjoyed it. And the best cafeteria or restaurant that we've ever eaten at, in my opinion.
Actually, the staff was amazing there.
Yes, really it was very good.
And when you asked them the question, why do people live here? What'd she say? Because it's affordable. I can buy a house for $35,000. No, and waitress.
No, that's I would need a bigger incentive than that. I just don't understand the North, where it's like snow 9 months of the year. All right, so
neither.
Where do you want to go? Where do you want to start? Mickey Chooch is going to be late tonight, so we'll start with our stuff, I think.
Well, let's start with something that's happening. It directly affects me for sure, and 100,000 other people in Ontario. So it's big news, but it hasn't really been covered.
No, it's been swept under the carpet. As a matter of fact, they are kind of litigating people who try to get the word out.
They're trying to silence. Exactly. So for many of you who don't know my pre-COVID life, I did fairly I wasn't like a millionaire by any means, so that's for sure. But I had a comfortable life. I was middle class life as a realtor. I own my own brokerage. And obviously, when I started speaking out, my business tanked, unfortunately, because as much as people hate those who tell lies, they hate those who tell truth even more. And I was lambasted horribly by my community and by the real estate community. Lambasted is an understatement. But anyway, something that happened last year, June of 2023, all the realtors that were like, you can't come to AGM meetings, you can't come into our offices, you can't come into conferences and courses unless you're vaccinated, they got a hefty surprise when they were told as of January 1st, 2024, they would not be able to practice real estate unless they bought into the mandatory health insurance benefit plan that only OREA was going to offer to them. You couldn't have health insurance elsewhere and count that as you being covered by health insurance. You had to buy the Ontario Realtor Wellness Plan in order to operate as an MLS bona fide realtor in Ontario. Boy, oh boy, those same people that said, get vaccinated, all of a sudden we're like, whoa, you can't mandate this. It's $700. You can't mandate this. You can't tell me who I can have insurance with and who I can't have insurance with. And I should have choice. When it hit their pocketbooks, all of a sudden they wanted choice. But the rest of us weren't allowed to have choice when it came down to healthcare considerations. It was just now that it hit their pockets.
We're still working through forgiveness issues, apparently.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. But anyway, a lot of realtors. There's about 100,000 realtors in Ontario.
Yes, Hashem, and also no, it's a little more. It's a little more subtle than that. Would your license get revoked if you didn't take the new insurance plan?
No, because Ontario Real Estate Association does not, and it's not a license, it's a registration. Same idea as a license, though. But Ontario Real Estate Association is not the one who issues licenses or registrations. It's actually RECO, the Real Estate Council of Ontario, is our regulating body, and they're the ones that give you your registration or not. And every 2 years, you have to renew your registration. You have to take more courses, which people don't know. So every 2 years, I have to take courses and I have to update my registration. And if I fail those courses, my registration is gone. I can't buy and help people buy and sell real estate anymore.
But they also, realtors have to renew their dues, basically. So they have to have access to MLS listings and whatnot. And unless you pay the $700 for that new insurance, it's included in your license. So you don't get access to realtors' tools unless you pay for the insurance.
Sort of.
Great.
Sort of. So in Ontario, you have to be a member of a board or an association in order to have access to local data, local MLS information, local tools in order to work. Okay. In order to be a member of a board, and that board you pay annual dues to. So every January, I was a member of the Toronto Real Estate Board. And so every January, I have to pay my TREB fees. And TREB, in order to be a member of TREB, I must also be a member of OREA. OREA is the Ontario Real Estate Association. OREA used to be in charge of the education portion of our registration. A few years ago, RECO pulled the education contract from them and gave it to Humber College. So OREA, in its efforts to make itself still relevant, besides just putting on conferences and doing online webinars, they have decided that they are going to bring forward a mandatory health insurance benefit plan called the Ontario Realtor Wellness Program. And it's going to cost us an extra $660 plus HST a year. We only pay $110 per year plus HST to be part of the Ontario Real Estate Association, and be part of OREA. But if I'm a member of a local board or association, which I have to be in order to work, then I also, because of a three-way agreement that was signed many, many, many years ago, then I have to also be a member of OREA. And in order, as of January 1st, 2024, to be a member of OREA, I must partake in their ORWP program, which is an extra almost $700 a year. If I decide I don't want to be part of their health insurance benefit plan because I've got a superior plan elsewhere, or I have a plan, or I'm never sick, so I don't want it, or I just don't want to be part of their inferior plan, then I no longer can be a member of the Toronto Real Estate Board. OREA has voided my membership with TREB if I don't mandatorily take their insurance program.
So you can see where that gets problematic for a free society.
Exactly. But if you recall, I said a three-way agreement. So if you are not a member of a board or association, then you can no longer be a member of the Canadian Real Estate Association, CREA, which again, you have to pay membership dues for because of the three-way agreement. And as OREA has made it mandatory that I buy their insurance, and if I don't, then TREB will not accept my membership which then I can't be a member of CREA, because in order to be a member of CREA, which is the Canadian Real Estate Association, you must be a member of a board or association. So OREA is effectively holding Ontario Realtors registrations hostages for an extra $700 a year for a mandatory health insurance program, whether they like it or not. Whether you're from a small town or a big town or a city or old or young, it doesn't matter. It's mandatory now. In order to be a self-employed realtor, and everybody that works in the real estate industry, I shouldn't say everybody, unless you work for like a new home construction, is an independent contractor. They're self-employed.
Now, there is a caveat. The caveat is that you can use your own insurance, but you have to give up your private medical information to the real estate board so they can assess whether or not your insurance plan is better than the insurance plan they're offering. And then that way you can get out of it. But then you have to give out your private medical information. And that's also another no-no, right? That seems to be the thing that we're crossing that line a lot for no reasons anymore. We never used to have to give out our medical information. And now it seems like they're asking for it all the time.
But not only that, Tim Hudak, who is the CEO of OREA, and if anybody who lives in Ontario recalls, Tim Hudak was also the leader of the Progressive Conservative Party in Ontario. So he was a politician, and when he resigned from the Conservative Party, that's when he became the CEO, very lucratively became the CEO of OREA, and has now instigated this mandatory program. So those of us who don't pay the extra $700 don't get to be a member of a board or association. Therefore, we don't get to be a member of CREA. And of course, we don't get to be a member of OREA. So you know how this works. OREA and CREA own all the real estate tools. They own all the forms we use, all the legal documentation we use, and CREA owns the MLS system. So if you don't pay these fees, you don't get to work in Ontario.
So here's why this matters. It's not just the real estate board. They're using this as a test subject to go through all of the unions and all of the boards. They want to crack down on all the independent contractors through these regulatory boards. And why are they doing that? Because they didn't have enough control of them during COVID, the COVID issue. So there was going to be a bunch of people who would say, well, I don't have to take a vaccine because this doesn't affect me and I work for myself. So there's no mandatory there. But now that they're regulating insurance policies, then you have to do the insurance unless you agree to their rules. Then they can they've set the stage where they can actually tell you what you can and can't do. And they're taking away your autonomy as an independent contractor. But that is also going to affect so many other organizations across Canada. And I think Tim Hudak alludes to this.
Exactly. So this has never, ever been done before in Ontario, let alone Canada. This has never been done before. So we are assuming that the realtors are going to be the test case in order to make other professions that are regulated or have membership followings be mandated into healthcare decisions or healthcare benefits that they may not necessarily want. And Tim Hudak actually said they are the first organization to launch this program or this type of program. The implementation has been a learning process because they are the first. There's nothing to set precedent. And then he goes on to say, given how many people have benefited from the program already, I suspect to see other professional associations will follow.
Right. So yeah, and all through the process, they're using globalist language. They're using the same globalist tactics. Is there going to be a legal challenge to this new policy?
Yes.
Yes, Hashem.
As of right now, there is a firm called McMillan LLP. Adam Chisholm has been hired by realtors to work on their behalf to fight this. Now, he has filed with the Human Rights Tribunal an age and disability discrimination complaint. Now, unfortunately, what happened with this program is when you hit the age of 65, even though you have to pay the same amount of dues as everybody else, your benefits actually decrease. And at certain ages, they actually terminate, but you still have to pay this money. And Tim Hudak went on Global News once, I think it was Global News or CTV News, and said, oh, but we have an opt-in program. So they don't necessarily have to take our health insurance. But that was a lie, because you can't opt out, okay? The opt out that they're talking about is if you don't want their health insurance, no problem, then they'll take your $700 and put it towards a travel medical insurance. So for those of you who don't travel, that doesn't work for you either. And then they also said, if you want to opt out, you still have to pay the $700, but you do have to forward us your medical coverage so that we know you're medically covered. And our team of experts will look at your medical coverage. And only if we deem it superior to ours, which almost every plan out there is superior to theirs. It's so ridiculous, the plan they're offering. And only if your plan says you will be canceled from your superior plan if you take on a second plan, are you allowed to opt out? But you still have to pay the extra $700. So there's a whole lot of issues here that are going on. One, they didn't ask the membership, the 100,000 realtors that this actually involves. They didn't ask them if they wanted it. They did a survey where only 2% of the 100,000 actually responded. Of that 2%, only 31% responded that they wanted it. So less than 1% of the real estate industry actually said they wanted it. 69% said they already had insurance coverage elsewhere.
Yeah. So real estate agents got together and they started a Facebook group and they started alerting other agents because there was, believe it or not, before all this went down, members voted 75% against coming up with this. And then the boards went ahead and did it anyway. So clearly not a representation of the people. So realtors got together and they started a Facebook group and started inviting other realtors in to educate them on the details. These realtors would just sort of pay the $700 and move on. And because of that, now they're getting sued by this company to try and shut them up as well. So
Exactly.
If it's good for everybody, then you really don't have to go to litigation to keep people from talking about it now, do you?
Correct. And the funny thing is there was 10 boards that got together and ran a survey. And of the survey results there, let me just get it for you here. 22%. So 10 of the 29 real estate boards in Canada got together. 22% of those 10 boards said that they were in favor of the mandatory program. 63% were 100% opposed to this program. 15% said that they were undecided or just didn't care. And then TREB, the largest real estate board in Canada, I believe they have about 70,000 members. TREB in OREA holds 49% of the vote. So TREB plus one board out of the 29 boards that there is in Ontario realistically make the decisions for everybody. So TREB did a survey, and I'm a member of TREB, so I got to participate in that survey. Only 39.6% were in favor of the program. But I'll tell you this, the survey did not say the program was mandatory. It asked if they offered a benefits package, would you be in favor of it? And 39.6% said yes, 39.5% said no. So that's super, super close. But then TREB asked the question, should they endorse the OREA program? And 31.6% said yes. 35.8% were opposed. So there was more opposed to the program. But here's the kicker. Over 42% of the respondents had no idea this program was even being put in place. 42% had no idea. And so these women started the Ontario Realtors Against the ORP program to inform people of what was going to be happening in our industry. And Treb, to shut them up, one, they went to Facebook and had Facebook censor the group. They actually had to pull the group down. Another group was started, and it had, I think, 18,000 people. And a petition was signed. Almost 20,000 people signed the petition as well, saying they didn't want it, that they were against it. So a second Facebook group was started. Treb is now suing the women. I shouldn't say women. There's 4 realtors. 2 of them are definitely women. The other 2, I'm not sure who they are. I don't think Treb has mentioned them yet. I think called them Jane Doe or John Doe. But Treb is now suing those people who started the Facebook group to shut them up. Mm-hmm. And then the Human Rights Tribunal, the lawyer filed a claim back in November asking for them to expedite the tribunal so that it goes through and a decision is made before January 1st. And OREA opposed the expedition of a trial happening. And so the trial judge or tribunal said, okay, we side with OREA. So now we have no idea when the case is actually going to be heard.
Right. So we'll keep you updated. We're doing what we can to get the word out. What now? But this is, it's funny because when everybody's focused on Poilievre and Trudeau fighting in the House of Commons, this is the stuff that's really affecting people. And it just doesn't get enough attention, we think. So that's why we want to draw attention to this. Yeah. So we will definitely keep you updated with that.
We will. So I know as well, some realtors on their own accord have also filed competition tribunal complaints because of the 3-way agreement. It is a bit of extortion. There is collusion, and obviously there's now a monopoly. And I will tell you, of 100,000 realtors in Ontario, there's approximately 20,000 realtors that have now either retired or park their licenses because they don't agree with this mandatory. And our real estate association, whose mission statement and vision statement is all about educating realtors so that we can do our fiduciary duties to protect our clients in buying and selling real estate, have now decided that they are not going to do that, but in fact force us all into a mandatory health insurance policy that none of us want and has literally nothing to do with buying and selling real estate. So we will keep you abreast, because if you are a dentist or a doctor or an engineer or a carpenter or what have you in an independent organization, a chiropractor even, and you have a regulator, this could happen to you. And Tim Hudak has already alluded to it. If nothing happens or the tribunal rules against the realtors, you can darn well be sure it is going to hit your industry next.
Right. It looks like Chooch is on deck finally. Hello, Chooch. How are you?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, we do. Loud and clear, son. Loud and clear.
All right.
It looks like you were playing volleyball till the wee hours.
Yeah. There were some tight games, so we went a little later than I thought.
Did you win? You better won for being so late.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry I asked the question then. So what do you got for us?
We got do you have a slide?
Yeah, I do have the slide.
Sweet. Yeah. So SoftBank is a Japanese bank, and they plan to cancel out angry customers' voices using AI.
That's mind-boggling. That is mind-boggling to me.
What?
This whole thing was designed for me.
So when I read the headline, I'm like, well, they're just going to cut it out until you stop yelling, or they're going to cut you off. AI is just going to filter and censor you out. That's not what that means at all.
No, it's actually going to modify it so they don't even understand how upset you are.
It's exactly.
Yeah,
so
like
they're going to take
in real
your
time.
tone and they're going to change it so you sound civil.
Are they going to change my words too?
Probably.
Oh, no. That's not going to work for me.
So they had 300 Japanese actors training this thing for, it looked like 3 years. and they're yelling at the mic, and it's the AI is changing their tone and changing their language, so it sounds much more civil for the for, I guess, what will be AI call operators, as well as on top of that.
Yeah. No, I've been hung up on before, and I wasn't swearing. I was upset, and I was expressing how upset I was, and they actually
Yeah.
hung up on me.
Yeah, I was the same
Wow.
way, being very calm, and she hung up because she just didn't feel like dealing with me.
I wasn't calm, but
Oh, okay. No, I've been hung up on when I'm very calm.
Doug Michaels thinks it's a good idea. You must be in customer service.
Yeah.
Rogers definitely had me flagged as an aggressive customer.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
So, well,
I wonder what CIBC
They-
has
they
me
don't-
flagged as.
They don't do anything when you're not upset, right? Like, and I'm not swearing at people. I get passionate, and I'm expressing how I feel, and they don't like it.
although when I get really, really upset, I don't get angry. I just use sarcasm to the point where it puts people in a fetal position. So I can see, I don't know, but if the company is being like egregious, then they're the ones who should be prepping their AI or their call center people. But I don't know about altering your tone and your message. That's where it starts to cross some pretty big lines for me.
It does, because that's not what you're communicating.
No, and I mean, sure, it's not their fault. Maybe you should watch your tone and whatnot.
Oh, I apologize. I usually start with, I'm sorry, I'm upset. I know this isn't your fault, but you are the person who has to hear this. You chose to work for this company. This company is evil. They are destroying the world.
Sure, there's that. So if they're doing it there, now let's just use this as a snapshot. If they're doing it to tone down angry customers' voices, altering your tone, altering your words, how long before it just automatically adjusts your social media posts?
Not long, I'm sure. Isn't Twitter now offering people to alter their text before you hit send? You can run it through AI now, I thought I saw.
Can you?
I
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, I thought I was talking about that with someone yesterday. I haven't seen it personally, but yeah, so they're integrating this in everything. Apparently in the new iPhone, no matter where you are, you can just hit the AI button and it'll convert whatever you want.
Oh, well, I can see that, but doing it automatically without your consent and on your behalf, that's pretty freaky stuff. Because up until now, people have been choosing to do misleading AI or whatnot. But if it's doing it for you automatically, that gives way too much power to AI.
Yeah, that is a whole nother moral line that I'm pretty sure they're going to cross.
Wow.
Well, what's the line it crosses, though? What did specifically do you think? Where's the moral line that it's actually crossing?
It's a false representation of who I am and what I'm saying. It's not what I'm saying, and yeah, if you're not upset, they don't take you seriously. 90% of the time, they're just reading a script and going through a script tree, saying if you say this, they say that.
Right. And it's also training you, like, if it doesn't matter what you think, if you cross societal lines, if you go outside of the societal accepted norms, then we're just gonna alter your voice anyway. Which reminds me of the Black Mirror episode Nosedive, where everybody was pretending to be very civil with one another so they didn't get a low mark or a low grade on their social credit score.
Good thing they didn't have the thought police there, because what they're saying inside their heads is very different from what's coming out of their mouths.
Right. So I wonder if that would put the government out of business if they started applying that to social media.
No, they'd figure out a way to still.
Well, they've got Bill C-63 coming down the pipe, right?
Mhm.
So that's $20,000 for anybody who puts in an anonymous complaint against you, and it's also $50,000 for the government coffers. So I'm pretty sure this is working against them. All right.
Yeah, no, this actually kind of reminds me of an interaction I had today. I went to the bank to pay my credit card with cash, and I walked in, and they had no tellers. And the guy came over to me. I'm like, "Where's the tellers?" He's like, "Yeah, what do you want to do?" And I told him I want to pay my credit card with cash. And he's like, "Oh, well, you can still use the machine." And I gave him a few words. I was like, "You have no idea what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And we are human beings. Like, we're not just account numbers." And then I dropped it before I lost my cool, paid my thing. But then I went back and I got the manager over, and I had a long conversation with him. Yeah.
Good. Good. Yeah, I don't put cash in the machine. It's just a line I won't cross.
So what would happen if somebody didn't have a bank account? Because you can have a credit card and not have a bank account, but go to the bank that the credit card is from to pay it.
Your credit card works in the machine now. I've accidentally taken money out on my credit card because it's two slots away. Yeah.
So you can put your credit card in the machine and then pay it that way?
Yeah. And you can take cash out like that too. And they want that because you start paying interest on that right away, right?
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. They'll push for it. Wow. Amazing.
All right.
And then this next one of yours, this was another one of yours. Internet Archive forced to remove 500,000 books after publisher's court win. Yeah.
So this is where we get a lot of information.
Well, we talked about that. Yeah. It's so I've actually stopped. How many hours have I spent on Internet Archive?
Oh my God, thousands.
Right. And
thousands.
I've downloaded terabytes full of information for archiving.
I was going to say, because you're probably on the archives at least 4 to 5 hours every day. Not
every day.
Yes, you are.
A lot of days. No, it was, and now I've shifted into taking that information and putting stuff out with it. But I've stopped relying on the Internet Archive because it went from like unfettered access to all sorts of stuff. So if you don't know, Internet Archive is the Wayback Machine, and a lot of people know the Wayback Machine now. So you can take a URL in a website and you can put that into the Wayback Machine, and then it gives you past references to that website. So if it was very different in 2015, you can get those instances from 2015. And so people have been digging up a lot of information of websites where they delete things and they change things and whatnot.
Is that archive.com?
Archive.org is the Wayback Machine. So a lot of people know the Wayback Machine because of that. But they also have books and videos and documents like CIA documents. So that's where we learn about Project Blue Book and Project Blue Bird and Project Monarch and Project MK. And the MK Ultra is just one of those. MK Delta, MK Chickwick, MK Chatter. There's all sorts of stuff. So all these old CIA documents are on there, and you can learn from there. So it is massive, this Internet Archive. But now, lately, a lot of things have been geo-blocked. So if you're in Canada, you can't get access. You can't download these documents. You can see them there, but you're not allowed to view them or document them or download them. Mm-hmm. So you have to use a VPN. And then it's been getting more and more difficult. And I've been finding less and less things on Internet Archive. So it's been dwindling super hard since I started this process. So I've been forced to go to other archives online to download from those places because they're still very full. But archive.org is run by the government, and we just knew it was a matter of time before they started deleting that. And they're also deleting past instances of websites now.
Oh, they are, right? Because I know people use that to track. Yeah, when the news just goes and suddenly changes, the headline, people are catching them with that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not, sometimes it's deleted, and then sometimes it's like all of a sudden my searches go super slow. And so I can't download anything because it takes forever just to make go from one page to the next. So they do that, and then they tell me that I've searched too many instances, and so they shut me down there. I've been kicked off Internet Archive before. So I go to other places to download a whole bunch of stuff, and there's a couple that are super full still, so you can still download a bunch of stuff that you can't get off Internet Archive anymore. I will not release the names of those archives online anymore.
Want to lose those sources.
Exactly right. If you want to know, if you're super interested and you want to start doing research and archiving things yourself, email us at info@tfmreport.com. And or you can even just use my personal email address at Cris @tfmreport.com, and I am happy to send you those links.
Yeah. Doug Michael said, I've noticed a pile of Google content is also geo-blocked.
Yeah, a lot of geo-blocked. I didn't know about geo-blocked. That's new on me. But if you go on Google now and you scroll down, you'll just see the same page scrolling over and over and over again. So they're hiding a lot of content now. As is Twitter. Twitter's doing a lot of stuff like that too.
Yeah, I watched a good video about the Google search, how it tells you at the top, oh, there's a million search results. And then as soon as you start going through the pages, you'll just start seeing all the same crap coming up and nothing interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't even notice because they're scrolling for something specific. So they scroll and they won't even notice that they're seeing the same pages over and over again. But if you actually read them, it's about 50 pages and then they just start all over again. And so it's this illusion that you're actually scrolling from page to page to page.
We did a show on that, about a year and a half ago.
We did.
Yeah, maybe 2 years ago we did it. But.
So I'm looking for a way to access those hidden files. But if somebody knows a way, I've tried Tor browser, I've tried all sorts of stuff, and which I probably shouldn't mention online. But it's very controlled. They've got it very cracked down. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So even Google, I was trying to look up the big picture movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
I typed it exactly, and it doesn't come up at all.
Bigpicturemovie.com.
Bigpicturemovie.com, not the probably threw it off. It's bigpicturemovie.com.
That should still bring it up. Yeah, Google's pretty good at search engines, so that should still bring it up. But do you remember when we were the fringe majority? So TFM Report is the fringe majority report, or Truth for Media now. When we were the fringe majority, you couldn't even find us on Google. We were super blocked.
Yeah. Hence the reason for the rebranding.
Yeah, shadow banning and visibility filtering is real, friends. It's a real thing.
So what do you got? What's next?
Well, let's go here. Let's go to this one. So this came up on my.
You just like this picture of boobs.
How dare you? It's it's not like it's not real, right? That's the thing. So this thing, I want to make it highlight. So this came up on my Twitter feed, and it's still coming up on my Twitter feed. I don't click on it, but yet it still insists on showing me this ad. World's hottest AI chatbot and soulmate. Start a thrilling virtual relationship. Get Eva AI. And how dare you use Eva from WALL-E? How dare you use that name? Because she was sweet and innocent and cone-shaped, I know. But so in the middle there, it says, dive into NSFW, not safe for work. That means adult-oriented character AI chats. She's an AI and AI friend. So that bothered me a lot. It bothered me so much that we wrote a Substack about it. And basically it is enticing you into a relationship with AI. And we played a video not that long ago where a guy was talking to AI, and she was super flirty and she sounded so pleasant and she sounded like she was super interested in his life. And this is the start. The movie Her was a great example of this stuff. Did you see that, Michael Juchon?
I didn't watch it, no.
Joaquin Phoenix talking to his AI buddy, Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, it's a creepy movie. But then there was another movie, wasn't it, with Ryan Gosling, where he walked around with this mannequin as his girlfriend?
Yeah.
Like
Lars and the girl and the real girl.
The media, what they're advertising for relationships is really scary. And
And Ex Machina
normalizing.
is another one. Ex Machina is another one.
Oh yeah.
I pronounce it Machina, but I don't know.
What's that?
I
Machina.
pronounce it Machina. I
Oh,
don't know
you're
what the
probably right.
pronounce is.
Hey,
I did watch
Machina.
that one.
Okay. Yeah. So sure, it's great. And then there was another one, Black Mirror
Yes.
episode where the eldest Weasley brother dies, and his ex-girlfriend or his wife, whatnot, she signs up for a program, like a subscription, where it amalgamates his social media and responds as AI in his fashion. So she feels like she's talking to him, and it starts by texting, and then for a higher fee, she can talk to him in real voice. So it takes his voice and does a simulation, and then they provide her with a robot, but the robot is unfulfilling because it has no emotions whatsoever.
Was it
Yeah,
a robot, or was it like virtual reality in the end? I think.
No, he was real. He was a real android, but he had
Yeah.
no emotion. So the last shot was him just standing in the attic watching them go out and do stuff, and he had no emotion. He was just standing there.
Yeah, Doug is saying AI girlfriends used to get super abusive when they wanted you to upgrade your subscription.
so did real girlfriends, aka jewelry. Yeah.
Well, unless you're me, buy me a hoodie, I'm happy.
Yeah, that's right.
Or a book. Book or a hoodie, I'm happy.
Yeah, so that bothered me because that exists, yeah, I hate to say it, but gamers and porn creators are actually driving technology forward. They really are. They're funding the next wave of technology. And so it's not that exists that bothered me. It's more that it hit me that we're a society now that has created a void with people, that they need that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part. We've failed people. And there's this negative term for incels, involuntarily celibate, these incels. So there are people in the world who just won't get a mate for whatever reasons, emotional.
Can't, not won't, but can't or can't.
Or can't. Yeah, it's a better word. For they're like horribly physically disfigured or emotionally scarred or mentally something's wrong with them. So they're destined to be single. And so something like that might actually fulfill a lot of things for them. But now all of a sudden we're a society that has failed these people, I think.
Well, I think the lockdowns had a huge impact on people when they started discouraging contact and putting fear in people's minds that if you connect with real humans, you're going to get sick, possibly die. I think some people took that to the absolute extreme and therefore have turned to their computers, their laptops, their Alexas, their Googles, their whatever they are. And, even on the cell phones, hey, Siri, what is this? I refused to connect Siri. And my friends would say, oh, just ask Siri. And I'm like, I'm not asking Siri nothing, because Siri is not a person. If I want to ask somebody something, I will ask a real person, because I still believe in human contact and human relationships. And I like people. So I'm not going to ask Siri nothing. She is not my call a friend. Sorry, not happening.
Well, that's what it's about. Is about dividing us and breaking that human contact. And so,
Yes.
yeah, maybe someone who has suffered and is lonely, maybe it would fulfill them in some way, but it would also stop them from growing and reaching out and growing themselves and maybe getting better. But that the whole recluse is not really anything new. Like in Japan, there's a term called hikiko mori, and it's pulling inward, being confined. So a lot of the people who game a lot are considered that, and they have no life. They stay inside, and it's all online life.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. There are people like that have better lives online than they do offline. But I think I think Jody touched on something where it's compounded by not only COVID and this isolation, but don't forget that AI, and don't fool yourselves, AI is running Twitter. And to say otherwise is naive, I think. And so Twitter is creating these narratives, and they touched on it on a documentary about 3 years ago on Netflix, where basically they're creating a narrative. So if you're a right-wing nut job, then everything you see on your Twitter feed is going to be right-wing nut job related. If you're a left-wing extremist, crazy pants, then you're going to see a social media feed that feeds into that. And you're not going to see the other side. There's a lot of people who don't know even what the other side is. And that's where human interaction overcomes that.
Correct.
So AI is actually not only censoring people, but AI is creating narratives and pushing narratives on Twitter. And if you think that, you know, humans are in charge of that, you're sadly mistaken. It is really creating this false narrative. So it's a conflict of interest, AI, for you to divide people and then provide this silly solution of AI.
Right.
So, you know,
Well,
hear me now, AI.
It's
Conflict
silencing
of
debate,
interest.
silencing growth, and wrecking human relationships.
But when you know, I touched on part of this on the Substack, and that is that what they're doing is they're overloading us with information, and they're confusing us, and they're altering reality. So we have to work harder to try and figure out what's real and what's not. There'll become a moment where going online and being in virtual reality online, they provide so-called reality there that's much less confusing and much more safe for people. So they'll look to the solace of online and VR reality because it feels much more real to people than the real world, which is something they're doing on purpose. They're trying to make it look like the world is confusing and unstable and you can't make out what's real and what's not. And then you'll you know, envelop yourselves in the welcoming arms of AI.
That's what Doug just said too. I think the argument can be made that social media makes people psychotic and people live in a false reality that they created by unfollowing anyone who disagrees with them.
Yeah, that's just, you're just, you know, emotionally childish if you do that. Like, open up to debate. I just had a little.
Idiocracy.
What about it?
That's what we're aiming for. Idiocracy. There was no growth. It was just everybody agreed with you, and look where society went to.
Yeah,
Decline.
Idiocracy. If you haven't seen it, it is the #1 comedy turned documentary, and it's very real. Also, a giant sales pitch for eugenics, I think, is
Yes.
the hidden meaning behind that one.
Yes.
So I think there were eugenicists on top of that. So I'm just saying, I think it's less about the AI product, because that'll be there for people who want it. I think it's more about the fact that we just got to get out and talk to our neighbors again, right? Somebody once said that the decline of Western civilization happened when we took our front porches and moved them into the back, and we stopped greeting the neighbors who went by. And it's a very astute examination of society, I think.
Yeah, there's no community anymore, right? That destroyed the community. Right. No one knows their neighbor. People are often hate their neighbors.
Right. And you're right. We would much rather block somebody and work through the hard part of doing a very mature, rational debate.
Yeah.
So I had one with a extreme leftist on Twitter, and they put out this picture of people lining up to vote for the Liberals in the by-election, wherever it is, Alberta, I think it is today. And it was this long
Toronto.
lineup. What's that?
Was Toronto today? Yeah.
Toronto, where
maybe Alberta too.
And so I don't know, wherever they were pitching, it's probably Toronto, and long lineup, and they were all in masks. And no. So I looked it up, and it was a stock photo from like 2 years ago. So I just put on their feed, I said, "Liar! This is from Alamy from like 2 years ago, right?" And they responded, "Is it though?" I just laughed. Right? We're diametrically opposing in our ideologies, but. Come on, that was funny. So I just gave him the win on that one.
Yeah, we ran into some security guards in your square. What's the mall downtown? Eaton Center. Yeah. They were. We did a little march through the Eaton Center, and security was following us the whole way. And as we were going up the last escalator to go out, there was a line of just like 10, maybe 15 of these security guards, and half of them were wearing masks. And I just said, "Guys, I think COVID's over." He's like, "It's a free world. I can wear this." I'm like, "Yeah, but there's a psychological aspect to why you're wearing it." And then he said, "Yeah, you did it to me." I was like,
Okay.
Choochong, how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you put that mask on that man's face?
You should have figured out how to go down that logic rabbit hole with him for a while. But yeah, that's right. You guys marched through Union Station today, and you were
not today,
on Saturday. Yeah. So how did it go?
It went well. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I
Good.
didn't even realize the other Queen's Park had their own thing. I don't know how many people showed up, but we still got probably about 100 people or so.
That's good.
Yeah.
You marched through Toronto and then in through Union Station and then through the mall, right?
Yeah, it
And
was a
then
good route.
you sung "O Canada" as well in there.
Yeah, we stopped in the middle of both places, maybe a few times in the Eaton Center, and we sang "O Canada," and people like all the storefronts. People were coming to the front of the store to see us go through, like wondering what's going on.
Nice. And they sang with you, right?
No, not
Oh,
many.
I thought they sung with
Yeah.
you. Oh well.
So
Next time.
was there conversations held with why you guys were walking through the mall carrying Canada flags, singing "Oh Canada"? Was there any information that was shared, or was it just we're gonna walk through the mall and sing "Oh Canada"?
So some people like to just keep to themselves, but I'm always off to the side talking to people. So I was handing stuff out and talking to people, and explaining what it's about. And people were curious, but not everyone is comfortable sharing or expressing themselves, I guess.
Sure.
Hmm.
Well, that's good. I'm glad it went well for sure.
Yeah.
So finally on our list, do you have a little video for us that you want to discuss?
I do. Are you gonna play it?
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
It's what is it? 3 minutes. 3 minutes of solid gold, baby.
Yeah, it's a really good video that I think is imperative and knowledgeable about what's going on in the world today.
Well, imperative is the key word there. So okay.
Before we move forward, let's take a good look at our world as it is today. By understanding the power structure of how things operate, we can begin to see where the problems lie, and thus the solutions begin to become self-evident. I created this graphic for a post back on May 12, 2020, and it shows the basic top-down power paradigm and control structure of the world. When you take a closer look at the picture, you'll see that we, the people, are at the bottom of the pyramid. We are the foundation of everything. And just as you can't build a strong and sturdy house without a solid foundation, you can't have a thriving, functional society without us either. We are the builders, the creators, the entertainers, and the workers. We are the lifeblood of society and the resource off of which the predatory parasite class lives their lives of exorbitant wealth. So when you realize this fact alone, you can begin to understand the incredible power inherent in not only the individual, but the unification of those individuals once their own power is realized. When that foundation is weakened, however, by a purposely dumbed down society, we are literally living in a house of cards, ready to collapse at the slightest attack on our fragile and false perceptions of reality. The people at the top of the pyramid don't want you to realize the power you possess. So they have taken their ill-gotten, mostly fraudulent wealth and bought influence in every level of the pyramid above us as a means to control us and extract the energy and wealth of our labor and creativity. Now, take a look just above the debt slaves foundation. What do you see? Government, media, and education. This is the most important message and key to this entire video. This is the route at which we all must be striking to finally bring an end to the evil in the world, because it is the firewall between those who want to use and manipulate us for their twisted ends by managing our perception of reality. You see, what that level just above us is supposed to be is a firewall. It is supposed to be our protection from the forces of evil that want to control us and our lives. All three sectors of that firewall have been completely compromised over the past 6 generations, and we are virtually defenseless at this point. But defenseless only divided the way we have been, that is. Incredibly powerful united, however. The question is, will people choose to drop their egos and false beliefs and finally unite as one force against the real enemies of humanity and begin to build a world that doesn't need them?
So that is a video that I believe the gentleman's name is Jake Johnson, I think.
Jack Johnson.
Jack Johnson. And he was on a call on Friday that I was on called Freedom Rising. And it's a call that usually carries about 130 to 180 people on it every Friday. And it's just people who are taking action all across Canada and in other countries come on this call, and we talk about what we're doing and events to get behind, or events to join, or events to fund. And he has this website, and he's been putting it out there, and he's not getting much traction. So anyway, I decided to check out this video, and it's about 20 minutes long. But we only played you 3 minutes of it. But I thought this 3 minutes was really important because so many people are looking for solutions.
Yeah.
You know, we always talk about the evil and what the predators are doing to us. And at the end of the day, it's us that are allowing these predators to do this to us. You know, it's us that vote them in to the government and the media and the education facilities. It's us that watch the media. It's us that funds the media. It's us that fund the government. It's us that fund the education system. And it's us that ultimately stopped paying attention, stopped getting involved, and therefore they were able to very easily, as Klaus Schwab boasts about taking over more than 50% of our government, it was us that dropped the ball because we allowed these 3 organizations, instead of being a firewall against the tyranny and against the evil, we allowed these organizations to be infiltrated and taken over. And we just sat there and let it happen because we were too exhausted working all these jobs, because we wanted to go to the cottage, because we wanted to play golf, because we wanted to watch movies, because we wanted to watch TikTok, because we wanted to no longer engage with our neighbors and our community. So I thought that this was really, really powerful, and it goes hand in hand with the AI relationships and the AI now taking over our voices when we're upset. I just thought that it was really important that we understand, if we want to win this war that we're in, and we are in a war, please do not fool yourself and say we're not. It's not a war by traditional means with bombs and guns, although there are some countries right now with bombs and guns happening. And I'm sure that will eventually happen here if we continue to allow the predators to reign without any controls put on them. We are the masses, and we have the numbers and the capability to stop building our prisons.
Right. So that leads us into who the actual enemy is. And that's the problem. Like, we ask who the enemy is, and somebody says, well, the World Economic Forum is globalists. It's
JT.
It's the Illuminati. Yeah, it's Justin Trudeau. Right? Who's the enemy? Michael Chooch, who's our main enemy?
The IMF, World Bank.
Oh, that's closer. That is way closer on target than most people. Yeah. Good for you. We've talked about this. We have gone down this road. We've studied this. You know your enemy to get away from your enemy. We got to know how they work and what they're doing and break it down so we can understand their playbook and then, undermine it, basically. But at the end of the day, we're our own enemies. That's it. We are the biggest enemies because we have, like you say, we've allowed them, but you're just talking about politics. You want to get out from under this. Here's your solution. Stop using banks, stop paying taxes, get your money out of the banks so you can stop paying taxes and they can't freeze your bank accounts. You stop funding their war, period.
Get on the parent-teacher councils, get on the school boards, become a trustee, run for municipal government, run for provincial government, run for federal government. Stop watching the bullshit media.
But we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that because, at some point we gave up our political rights to our politicians because they were going to go handle it for us. We don't have to deal with it. We gave up our defense rights to our police because we didn't want to deal with what that entailed. We gave up giving our kids, our teaching our kids and mentoring our kids to the teachers. We gave up our spiritual authority to our pastors. We gave up like all our autonomy over the course of years. And it's not just us. It's not just our generation. It's not just our parents' generation. They were in World War I, we were told the federal income tax is going to be a temporary measure. And when they didn't give it back, that generation should have dealt with that. That should have been a starter or given it to them in the first place because they knew better. But we just didn't want to do that. But here's the other thing. Even if we did want to do that, if we want to take the time and actually take all that authority and that power back, part of what we have to do is stop funding their war. And I've already mentioned the banks and the income tax, but we don't want to give up our stuff. We're so entrenched in our own consumerism that we've built our own prisons that we do not want to get out of. And that's part of the problem. It goes beyond not just using Amazon, which you shouldn't do, which we do and we shouldn't do.
But we do because we can't get the stuff in the stores because nobody goes to the stores anymore.
Right.
We were in the Coburg Mall and it's empty.
Gone.
There's no stores there. And I remember when they first built the mall, I think I was 15 or 16. They first built the mall here in Coburg. I'm now 50. That mall was thriving. It had a food court that was full. Every single storefront was full. People actually visited the mall. It was hopping. You walk in there, it's like a ghost town now. Almost every single storefront is empty. And there is 0 food courts in there. Why? Because we buy stuff online because it's easier. It's convenient. I don't have to deal with salespeople. I don't have to deal with rude people. I don't have to deal with the homeless people on the sidewalks. So we did this and we continue to perpetuate this with AI and social media and Zoom meetings and webinars.
Well, and we've talked about free trade, to put tariffs, put taxation on the companies that want to come in here and do business in Canada. Because when they come and do business in Canada, all the profits, they leave Canada. They give us a token little bit to look like they're helping communities. But then that goes back, the immigrants that are here, they take these illegal jobs away from, and they get subsidized by our own government who are undercutting their own people. They get subsidized and they steal jobs away, and then they give that money back to their families back home. So all of this money is leaving the country. And we seem to be just okay with it. So I would say start with the money and work your way out from there. But the other thing is we got to take personal responsibility back. And the biggest way for them to hold power over us is by keeping us from understanding our purpose and our destiny and our individual identity and then our national identity. So if you need to make a mission statement about what your life is and where you are going, like what is your mission statement, what is your purpose, what is your destiny? And for the love of God, so many people can't figure that out, and I understand that's one of the hardest things to work out. Call us, email us, we'll work it out with you.
Well, what's funny is we put more importance on setting up firewalls on our computers and passwords on our devices, but we don't do that in real life, the things that actually matter. We've allowed these facilities to go unprotected. And as Jake said, government, media, and education, these are our firewall facilities, and we let them down. We let them down. We didn't put the firewall protection up. We didn't put the virus scanners up. But man, oh man, do we do that on our devices, on our computers, and on our phones?
Which is a myth anyway.
Yeah, that's false hope for sure.
A false sense of security.
I just got a really sketchy text message the other day. We were talking with one of our friends in Montreal, and all of a sudden I get a text message with just like somewhat gibberish, somewhat words, and then a picture that was all black. No, nothing in the image. So I said, what is this? And he's like, what do you mean? I didn't send you anything. So I send him a screenshot of it, and he looks, and it's not in his history. He did find it in, I guess it's probably an iPhone. So you have Messenger and iMessenger. And I'm not an iPhone, so I don't know why it would be in a
Right.
different category. But yeah, he did find where he said he showed that it did send, but he said, I didn't do that. And he said it wasn't a pocket text or anything like that. So
Mhm.
yeah, even with all this stuff, we are compromised.
Yeah, I got a
Yeah.
text from one of my kids. Hey, Dad, this is my new number. Contact me here. Nice try. Nice try. My kids never text me. Nice try. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought I'd bring that to everybody's attention. You know, we are the numbers. When you see that pyramid that he had up there, and we've actually used that pyramid in several other shows. I didn't realize it was his pyramid. So thank you, Jake. Appreciate that. Or Jack, or I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. I'm horrible with names.
It's probably
I
Jake. I just
apologize.
like Jack Johnson because his music, is very chill.
But he put together a really great pyramid so that we could see the foundation of the pyramid is us.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get back to the people and our values and
Right.
natural law and what is important, which is the family and protecting the innocent and doing unto our neighbors as we wish be done unto us, and stop handing over our firewall. Put the firewall back up. And the only way you can put it back up is by us getting involved and running for government positions, taking back our media, and getting involved in our education, because we know that our children are being dumbed down by the indoctrination system. And if we want that to change, and I know most of us do, because most of us put our kids in the indoctrination system using the excuse that, well, I have to go to work. So what am I going to do with my children? I can't leave them at home and I can't afford a babysitter.
Well, they have to go to work.
Well, then
Yeah.
you need to make sure that the facilities you're putting them in actually represent your views. And the only way you can do that is by taking back the firewall, taking back the facilities, government, media, education. That is how our predators have beat us so far. It's time to
Right.
take those facilities back.
Yeah, David Egg says I'm less concerned about solutions more than I am getting rid of the problem. Let's just get rid of the problems. The solutions will present themselves, which I absolutely agree with.
You don't want a revolution? Then we need to take back our government. We need to take back our media, and we need to take back our education. And you guys are helping take back the media by supporting TFM Report, supporting What's Up Canada, supporting Bright Light News. There's so many great podcasters
Not
out
TV,
there.
not TV, by the way.
Oh yeah, not TV.
.TV is launching their new 24-hour Freedom Network. So, and we're honored to be a part of that now. So Not TV was here and it went away again. And sorry to cut you off, but I'm so excited for them because they've launched this new thing and it has a schedule, and you can look on the schedule and know when people are going to be on air. And it's so excited. It's the closest thing to an actual awakened. Yeah, there it is. Awakened TV station, an actual TV station. So you can all in one place. And then, of course, lgmnews.news is lgm.news. Don't go to lgmnews.news. lgm.news. That's the other place where you can start getting multiple broadcasters in one place, and that's really important. So if you're looking for a lot of podcasters,
Liberty and
Liberty is your
Odyssey
social media
BitChute.
solution. Yeah. But like really truth-oriented, authentic media, you can find them all in one place in these two organizations now.
Yeah, and LGM and Not TV.
Right. So to distract.
So that's one way we're taking our media back, by using authentic media, not alternative media, authentic media. And now, as parents and grandparents and soon to be parents, or hope to one day be parents, let's take back our education systems by getting our people in there, getting people with real values, real ethics, real morals, the love of God in their heart back into the school systems. I remember when I went to school, oh my gosh, it seems like forever ago, 45 years ago, 45 years ago, we would start the school day singing "Oh Canada." God Save the Queen. We can ixnay that one. But singing
Because he didn't.
because he didn't.
Yeah.
But singing "O Canada," we started the day, "O Canada," Lord's Prayer, 5 minutes of calisthenics every day. That stupid popcorn
no.
song
Don't sign me
in
up for
my head,
calisthenics, no.
in my head. But you know what? It started the brain moving. It got the blood flowing, and people woke up. And we had phys ed every day. There was no obese people in our schools. There just wasn't, because we had phys ed every day. We were active every day.
There were still obese
And
people.
we
There
had-
was some. There was some.
1 out of 500 kids might be obese, but we still had playgrounds in our playgrounds. We still had baseball and soccer, and we played Red Rover and Blind Man's Bluff and dodgeball. We moved, and we got hurt, and we got dirty, and we learned to create, and we learned to think for ourselves. And not only that, we learned to be patriotic, and we remembered that God was part of our day every day. We need to get back to that.
And we wore sweatpants, and that was normal all day, every day. Now they call it giving up on life. But no, that was a time. It was the utopian time of sweatpants. Don't forget that time. That was Spuds McKenzie and sweatpants. It was a good time. It's a good time in life.
I was jeans.
That
Jeans or
reminds
dress
me.
pants. I was a weird kid. I liked dress pants and heels. And you would see me playing.
Oh, yeah, you were a weird kid.
I know. You'd see me playing, what was it? Baseball soccer, I think it was called, in my heels. And I'd kick that ball and run the bases in my heels. No confusion there.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. You bring up the national anthem, and I was just reading an article published by the Toronto Sun. It was an opinion piece, so I guess someone wrote in, but it was basically disparaging the national anthem. This person said, "When I got my citizenship, I fell asleep while they were singing the national anthem," and yeah, just purely disparaging it. And so clearly, this person is an immigrant. They come here, they want to be a citizen, they get their citizenship, and then they just shit all over us.
Yeah.
Or it's a globalist puppet pretending to be an immigrant, because globalism is the only cure for, or nationalism is the only cure for globalism.
Yeah.
So they want to eradicate nationalism right off the gate. And we know that because Trudeau started his campaign in 2015 by saying Canada will be a post-national state, and Canada has no national identity.
Well, I will tell you, I was
Bucket.
disappointed. We saw, was it We Unify? There was We Unify conference going on out in BC, which is a freedom, is it a media conference or a freedom something conference? And there was another conference happening in Manitoba as well. I think it was
Strong and Free conference, I think,
conference in Manitoba.
Yeah.
So there was 2 big conferences happening in these places. But anyway, we were watching a little snippet of the We Unify, and they started the conference off singing "O Canada," which I thought was really great. And they panned the audience, and it was a packed house, which I thought, again, fantastic. And then they panned to the screen, and there's the words to our national anthem on the screen. And I guess I should have been happy that at least they were playing "O Canada," but I was very disappointed, and it made me feel sad that most of the people in that audience was probably above the age of 40, and they needed to put the words of the national anthem on the screen so that people could sing along. Because at one point in time, we never had the words put up on the screen.
No.
All through school, there was no screen that those words were on. You just knew the national anthem.
Yeah. By God, we knew the national anthem and all the words to Bohemian Rhapsody, and that's the way it was.
And that's the way it was. But that just shows you how people have forgotten about the country we live in and how amazing it is. And our national anthem lives here. We shouldn't have to have words on that screen. That was disappointing for me, but at least everybody was singing.
They were all singing.
I needed a refresher 2-3 years ago. I hadn't sung the national anthem in 20-30 years.
Yeah, well, that's because you don't attend sports ball.
Well,
Glad
I
of it.
wouldn't sing along though necessarily. You know, I would take my hat off, but I wouldn't always sing along or
Mhm.
just just take it in. So yeah, I
Right.
definitely needed the refresher.
All right. Final words. Michael Chooch, how do we fix this country? And you can't use fire bombs as a solution again.
I think it's just waking people up still. That's why
Okay.
I'm every time I'm out, I'm talking to people. I was driving 100 kilometers on the 401 this weekend, and a guy rolls his window down and starts asking me questions through the window. He's in the fast lane. I'm one over, and we're slowing traffic down so he can ask questions.
I love it.
Amazing.
I love it. Michael Chooch's vehicle has messages and stickers all over it, much like mine, and
Much
flags. So
like- Yeah, Jody.
Inspired by yours and one other.
Yeah. And if you don't know Jody's vehicle, it's we call it an informational shotgun to the face.
yes.
Yeah. It is the eye assault that you never saw coming. Right? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Call
that's
mine
good
the
advice.
Samhar.
I think you're right. We're still in an info war. We're in a spiritual war. We need to capture hearts and minds. And, it's an accusing or confusing time for us. And we have several anchors that we work from to keep us from getting down the wrong path. But I can say division is one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
And the way to navigate division, even people on our side, they're so caught up in division and within ourselves, they either join me or you're an enemy, and they're drawing these black lines within our own division. We're supposed to be about peace and love and unity.
Unity.
And it's happening within our own. So, I mean, Galatians 5, if you're not a Bible reader, Galatians 5, what is it, 19 to 23, talks about the difference between like the right spirit and a contrarian, angry spirit, and division is one of those things. So, that's a good kind of anchor to keep, like, is this a good thing to follow or a bad thing to follow? Is it fruitless or does it actually gain ground?
And we got to lose the wording left versus right, because you know what? We're not left versus right. We're humanity.
Right.
We're humans. It's evil versus good. Left versus right, that means nothing, because at the end of the day, not all left people are evil and not all right people are evil either. And a lot of times they share the same views. They just may differ a little bit on ideology. So we got to stop saying left versus right, because you know what? We need the left and the right to join forces together to beat the predators, our common enemy, that are against us.
I prefer pedocrats.
Well, it's the same thing with the other religions, though, right? It's Israel versus Palestine. There's bad people on both sides, and they're doing bad things, right? And it's not about the race, not about the country, not about the religion. Those are just what they put on the front to add pretext and keep us divided.
Well, it's the same thing. There's douchebags in Christianity, and I've met some pretty douchebaggy Buddhists as well, and they're supposed to be all about unity and peace. So maybe we just make a big douchebag island, and the rest of us can live happy. You go over there now, live there, and we'll work it out over there. So anyway,
sounds like what they're trying to do to us, though.
That's right. That's it. We'll be back Thursday with another live show. No events in between there, so we'll be bright and bushy-eyed. Yeah, whatever.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
That thing, yeah. That thing, that's kind of where I was heading with that. And we'll see you on Thursday. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And I guess we'll see you then. Bye,
guys.
everybody.